Okay, let's unpack this. Extended reality XR, it's absolutely booming.
It is.
But for an independent developer, that explosion, it kind of creates a strategic minefield.
Mm,
If you're running a solo operation or, a small studio, your single most critical decision is where you focus your resources.
absolutely.
Do you chase that huge audience on mobile, aim for the, let's say, curated prestige of a console, or do you dive into the wild, innovative frontier of PC VR?
And that's the fundamental question.
That's the core dilemma we're tackling today. We're diving deep into what we're calling the indie reality, noise versus revenues challenge, and we're using insights from the Unity XR indie platform Playbook as our map.
A really solid guide.
Our mission is to move past the hype and extract a clear, actionable decision cheat sheet for you to guide you through the complex realities of mobile, console, and PC development.
And those three ecosystems are, I mean, fundamentally, they're three radically different businesses.
Right, not just different tech.
No, not at all. We aren't just comparing specs here. We're defining three distinct markets, and each one demands a unique approach to design, to polish, and most critically, to how you monetize.
How you actually make money.
Exactly. Choosing correctly dictates everything. How fast you can launch, who your audience even is, and whether you can charge, say, $5 or $50 for your game.
A huge difference.
So to give you that roadmap, we're going to define the strategic areas for each platform. First, audience and discovery. Second, the unavoidable technical constraints.
Okay.
And third, the certification hurdles you absolutely must jump. So let's start where the numbers are biggest, but maybe the profits are the hardest to find. Mobile XR.
Mobile XR. It's the ultimate siren song for speed and reach, right?
It is.
The playbook points out that using tools like Unity plus AR Foundation is, well, it's the fastest route from a working prototype straight to the App Store.
Incredibly fast.
You're developing for one engine across just two dominant operating systems, iOS and Android, and you're reaching, at least in theory, the largest device addressable audience on Earth.
The appeal there is just undeniable. You get to skip the massive barrier of convincing the user to buy dedicated hardware.
Because they already have the phone.
It's already in their pocket. This means the biggest wins on mobile are these short session AR experiences. Things like geo-anchored quests or markerless tracking apps.
And sharing is easy.
Frictionless. Organic growth is huge because you just send the link and boom, the user's instantly in your app.
But wait, if that audience is so massive, why can't a developer just, endure the noise and the fragmentation? What is the cost of losing what the playbook calls the thermal war?
The cost is death by heat and obscurity.
Oof.
The marketplace is just saturated, the stores are overflowing with free gimmicks, and if you try to charge even a modest price for your polished AR experience, it just drowns.
Unless you get featured.
Unless you get that coveted feature from the platform. Exactly. This is the noise versus revenue challenge right there in action.
So monetization has to be baked in from the start.
It's not optional. Ads and in-app purchases, IAP, they have to be in your core loop from day one. Your user acquisition budgets are competing directly with these hyper-casual giants spending millions.
Right.
If you can't monetize immediately, you can't afford to advertise, and you disappear.
And even if you get the funding for that, you immediately run headlong into this thermal and fragmentation war.
Yes, every single watt of battery power counts.
And what does that mean in practice?
Mobile development is less about what the chip can do and more about what the chip will do after, say, 2 minutes of sustained use.
The throttling.
Exactly. CPU, GPU, and memory budgets, they swing wildly across the thousands of different chipsets out there. The moment the device hits a specific temperature, throttling kicks in to protect the hardware.
And for the user, that just means drop frames, lag. It ruins the whole sense of presence. So if you want to survive that thermal bottleneck, the playbook mandates some pretty ruthless technical compromises.
That's the word for it. Ruthless. You're forced into aggressive level of detail pipelines, LOD pipelines.
Meaning you need multiple versions of every asset.
Yes, multiple simplified versions. The user standing 5 feet away sees a perfect high-poly model, but the moment they walk 50 feet away, the engine instantly swaps it for a low-poly box to save GPU time.
Okay, and it's not just models.
No, you also have to commit to baked lighting instead of complex real-time calculations and use GPU-friendly shaders that minimize rendering time.
That's a brutal set of constraints. I mean, it fundamentally rules out complex narrative-driven experiences, doesn't it?
It pretty much does. The design rules are strict. Keep sessions under 5 minutes because the battery or the thermal sealing will cut you off.
One thing at a time.
Surface only one gesture or interaction at a time to maintain simplicity. Use WorldLock UI for clarity, and just skip expensive post-processing entirely. The real world is already your background. You don't need bloom effects slowing your frame rate down.
That is the reality of the mobile gold rush. But, okay, if you want to trade that sheer volume for prestige and technical consistency, we pivot to the living room.
Right.
Console XR, and specifically the PlayStation VR ecosystem.
The appeal here is, it's technical nirvana compared to mobile.
Because the hardware is fixed.
You're targeting fixed silicon PS4 or PS5 and standardized input, like the Move controllers. This fixed environment is a massive release. You only have to optimize for one set of technical expectations, not thousands.
And from a business perspective, the platform is doing the marketing for you.
They're supplying the marketing muscle and curation that an indie studio just can't afford on its own. It's a highly curated store that rewards high production values.
And this is where you can charge more.
This niche rewards those story-rich, room-scale adventures that can justify a higher premium price point. We're talking $30, maybe $40, and potentially even physical retail shelf space.
Okay, but there has to be a catch.
Oh, there is. The problem is that the entire console ecosystem is protected by what the Playbook calls Certification Mountain.
Certification Mountain, that sounds ominous. What does that specifically involve for a developer?
It means navigating the Technical Requirements Checklist, the TRC, and then Law Check, which is the final certification process.
And they're strict.
They demand absolute, flawless compliance. If you have a single hard crash, one graphical glitch, one unlocalized menu string, the entire thing is rejected. You cannot have any hitches, period.
Wow. So that has a huge impact on your timeline.
A serious consequence. Developers have to prepare for months of paperwork, fees, and patch certification. You can't just fix a bug at 2 in the morning and push an update live.
Like you can on PC.
Exactly. If you discover a critical launch bug, you are waiting weeks, sometimes months, for the platform to recertify your patch.
And on top of the compliance, there's a technical mandate that sounds terrifying. The 90 Hz comfort mandate.
Yeah.
Why is 90 frames per second non-negotiable?
Because smoothness is comfort. It's that simple. This goes back to basic human biology. When your brain expects movement, you turn your head in the virtual world, but your eyes see a laggy, jittery image below 90 frames per second. Your vestibular system gets confused. That sensory mismatch leads directly to simulation sickness.
Nausea.
Instant nausea.
I see. So a player might tolerate a simple visual mistake, but their tolerance for motion sickness is absolute zero.
Precisely. Motion sickness instantly tanks your reviews and ruins your reputation on the store. Console developers have to lock that frame rate, sometimes even 120 FPS on PSVR 2.
Which means your whole design has to be built around that.
Yes. You have to integrate snap comfort options for turning, and you have to pace the entire experience based on how familiar the player is with the VR controller setup.
So given these high barriers, the QA costs, the months-long... Wait, who is this actually for?
It's truly ideal only for small studios who are already backed by a publisher. That publisher provides the cash flow and bankrolls the extensive QA you need to climb Certification Mountain.
That is a serious investment. You're trading all your speed and flexibility for that prestige.
That's the trade-off.
Okay. So, if mobile is the fragmented speed demon and console is this high-stakes, curated, premium experience, where does the indie developer go for maximum creative freedom and rapid iteration?
Well, now we get to the fun part.
Here's where it gets really interesting. PC OpenXR. This is the platform of maximum control.
The freedom is just unparalleled. There are virtually no gatekeepers.
You can publish whenever you want.
Instantly. On platforms like Steam, Itch, SideQuest, Pico, within hours of finishing your build, you control your pricing, your patches, your betas, and most importantly, you own that direct relationship with your community.
But the trade-off for that freedom, unlike the fixed console hardware, is a dizzying amount of what the Playbook calls hardware chaos. How can a small developer possibly optimize for that kind of variance?
Well, you can't optimize for every single machine.
So what do?
You have to turn the chaos into an opportunity. Think about the range. Users are running everything from an ancient GTX 970 to a leading-edge RTX 5090.
And headsets from a basic Oculus to a high-end Varjo.
Right. So the Playbook advises making your game inherently scalable.
What does that mean?
It means implementing flexible quality presets, allowing for dynamic resolution scaling based on the user's GPU load, and making your configuration files mod-friendly.
So you empower the player.
Exactly. When you empower the player to tailor the experience to their specific rig, that variance, which could have been a bug, actually becomes player control and satisfaction.
And that player community is what makes PC the definitive experimental XR playground.
It really is. This is where full body tracking, eye tracking, custom haptics, and community mods just thrive.
Yeah.
If you have a mechanic that is weird or unconventional or breaks the established XR design rules, like a strange locomotion system, PC players will celebrate it.
And build on it.
They'll iterate on it, they'll stream it. PC is the innovation engine for the entire XR space.
But that innovation comes with a heavy dose of reality, the brutal feedback loop.
Yes. Since there's no long QA process bottlenecking you, your reviews are immediate and very public.
Steam reviews are instant.
They are. And if you break those 90 FPS requirements or you introduce a comfort bug, expect 0-star punishment within hours of that patch going live.
That sounds terrifyingly high pressure.
It is. But that same brutal transparency allows for incredible, rapid iteration. Your most vocal early adopters are submitting crash logs and feature requests daily.
So you can fix things immediately.
You can pivot and patch overnight, addressing community demands without the 6-week red tape you have on console platforms.
But the financial trade-off for that speed is clear.
Very clear. Every single marketing dollar comes straight from your pocket. There's no curated store support like you get on console.
So we've covered these 3 really distinct battlegrounds, each with its own gravity while pulling the indie developer in. Given this huge variance, the thermal limits of mobile, the rigidity of console, the chaos of PC, is there a unifying technical discipline that all indies have to adhere to, no matter what platform they choose?
Absolutely. There are a few shared pillars that have to be in place or the project will fail, period.
Okay, let's start with the rendering pipeline. The source material is very clear about the necessity of the Universal Render Pipeline, or URP. Why is URP mandatory, and why do we hear so much about single-pass instanced rendering?
URP is essential because it's built to scale performance across all this diverse hardware.
Unlike the higher-end one.
Unlike the high-definition render pipeline, right? URP cuts down on draw calls, which are the instructions sent to the GPU. And single-pass instance rendering is a massive optimization because it lets the engine draw both left and right eye views in a single operation.
Oh, I see.
If you skip this, you're literally doubling your draw calls for no reason and doubling your workload, which immediately kills your frame rate.
That makes perfect sense. Doubling the work kills your chance of hitting 90 hertz.
And this leads right to the core optimization focus. The GPU. GPU-bound scenes hurt the user experience way more than simple CPU spikes in a head-mounted display.
So the rule is?
You have to be militant about optimization. Every light needs to be baked. You cannot afford real-time lighting calculations, and your shader variants must be kept incredibly lean. We're fighting for every single millisecond here.
Another key technical takeaway, and this impacts the ability to pivot between platforms, is the need for an input abstraction layer.
Correct. This means combining the base Unity input system with OpenXR interactions to create abstract control verbs. Things like grab, poke, teleport.
The system doesn't care what the actual hardware is.
It doesn't care if the user is clicking a mouse, tapping a touchscreen, or gripping a tracked controller. It just sees the abstract action.
And the practical benefit for the small studio.
It gives you that critical flexibility. That abstraction lets the same core code base compile and run smoothly on touchscreens, gamepads, or complex track controllers without needing massive, expensive rewrites every time you consider a new platform.
It's the survivor's method.
It is. It's how you minimize technical debt.
Finally, let's talk discipline. What is the one practice that separates a successful indie dev from one who fails?
Profiling discipline. You must profile your game on target hardware from week 1. Don't wait until the project is nearly finished.
Because the targets are unforgiving.
Absolutely unforgiving. 60 FPS on mobile, 90 on PC VR, and 120 if you're aiming for PSVR 2.
That's intense, especially since, as you said, those GPU bottlenecks might be invisible in the editor.
Exactly. When you look at the scene in the editor, everything looks smooth. But those GPU bottlenecks completely murder presence, that feeling of being there, the moment a user turns their head rapidly.
And if you miss that frame rate target...
You haven't just created a slow game, you've created a nausea generator. and the project is effectively broken.
So what does this all mean? Let's distill this down into the core decision cheat sheet. If you're a developer listening right now, where should you really start this journey?
The strategic framework is pretty clear. If your main goal is speed to market, user testing, building an MVP, or creating a location-based AR experience, you go mobile.
Right.
It delivers that massive install base and the shortest certification path to get broad audience metrics quickly.
Okay, what if you're driven by pure innovation? Experimental VR, custom gear, breaking all the rules?
You choose PC. That platform grants you maximum freedom to iterate and patch overnight. It's for the pioneers.
And finally, if you want that prestige, the flagship placement, maybe even a box on a shelf, and you want to justify a premium $30 or $40 price tag,
then you aim console. But you have to be ready to endure certification mountain and partner with the platform to get that curated exposure to a dedicated, high-paying audience.
that's a powerful summary of the trade-offs.
And for the solo developer, the small team trying to find a survivor's path, the Playbook recommends a sequence.
What's that?
Prototype on PC first for the flexibility. Pivot to mobile second for early traction metrics and user tests. And only approach a console once your cash flow and your QA budgets can truly justify that prestige leap.
Don't let ego override your bank account.
Exactly.
As we wrap up this deep dive, let's nail down the final, non-negotiable indie truths from this whole strategic playbook.
Lesson number 1, which we've hit on throughout. Comfort beats graphics.
Always.
Always. Players will forgive simple visuals, baked lighting, low-poly assets, but they will never forgive nausea, confusion, or controller frustration. A steady frame rate trumps high-poly art every single time.
And lesson 2.
Design clarity wins. Whether you're designing for a mobile swipe, a gamepad click, or a room scale grab, you have to communicate one interaction at a time. End your sessions before that thermal fatigue sets in, and polish that 5-second onboarding loop above all else. That first impression seals the fate of your game and your review scores.
Analyzing the trade-offs across these 3 ecosystems really highlights how different success looks depending on where you launch.
Yeah, it's not one size fits all.
You have the ultimate iteration speed and community integration on PC compared to, months of waiting and the high cost for console certification.
It's a huge contrast.
So if instantaneous iteration and community mods are possible on the PC platform, does the heavy investment required for that curated console prestige, the high costs, the long waits for patches, does it still deliver enough tangible value to justify the risk for a small studio seeking that premium price point? What stands out to you?